Hey, yo, what's going on, you sexy ass motherfuckers? It's me. I'm back at it again with What If Deku was Cyclops. Now, I know I said I was going to finish What If Deku was Smoke and then do a cartel, but that's going to take a little more, and I have to wake up early today for practice. So, I'm trying to get something out quick so that I don't leave y'all away for too long. My bad, I was out. I went out to the beach, and I was doing, football, so I'm a little tired when I get home. But I'm gonna try to upload and see where it goes on from there. School starts for me tomorrow, so yeah, it's gonna be a shit show. But all right, other than that, let's get right into this motherfucking what if. So we start off the story with Deku being a young lad, and he has an a difficult childhood, we would say. He gets bullied by Bakugo a lot for not having a quirk. He gets picked on by the other students. His parents are both there actually this time, so both Hisashi and Inko are there, and they try to support their son as best they can. But both of them work, so they're not home a lot of the time. So Izuku just has to spend time with himself, and when he gets home, he's by himself. His parents don't get home until late night, and he usually has to do like make his own food or buy food or anything of the sort. And so he has to deal with a lot of things that he goes on with life by himself. So you know, it creates this endless cycle of him just being bullied, going home by himself, eating by himself, sleeping by himself almost all the time. And he kind of grows to isolate himself from people, not really trying to gain connections. He becomes sad, depressed, but he doesn't do anything more than that. He tries to just hold it all in, push it deep down, until we get to middle school. And this is the last day, so this is a day where they talk about what schools they're going to after they graduate from middle school. And the doctor, or not the fucking doctor, the teacher says that Bakugo going to UA, but also Izuku. Now, the way Izuku coped with being sad was to work out, and he worked out a fuck ton. He had all the time in the world. He didn't really have to worry about homework because he's a smart kid, and he worked out day in, day out, day in, day out. So he has a built ass fucking physique, but no one knows this because no one can see what's under his uniform. So when the teacher says that Izuku also wants to go to UA, Bakugo obviously gets more pissed off than he does in the anime, and he says, "What? This little bitch is trying to go to UA, and he doesn't even have a quirk." As Izuku just looks at him and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my best." As Bakugo's pissed. He starts doing his little explosions as he says, "You bastard! I'm the only one from this shitty high school who's gonna go to UA. You don't stand a chance." As Izuku says, they let people without quirks try and get into UA, so I'm gonna try that. As Bakugo just grunts and he sits back down, pissed off as fuck. As the end of the day rolls around, and the same interactions happens with both Izuku, him having his journal of heroes and quirks, and Bakugo comes up and snatches it out of his hand. As Izuku just looks at him, he says, can you give that back?" As Bakugo looks at him, laughs, and he's like, "Give this back to you?" As then he blows it up in his hand, as Izuku says, "Bro, why you gotta be such a dick? Like, I ain't never did shit to you. I've never threatened you. I've never done anything to you. So why you gotta be like this? Like, I spent my time and energy writing in that shit because it interests me, and now you just blew it up." As Bakugo gets backed into a corner, so he does the only thing that he can think of as he starts walking out, and he says, "You know what, Deku? Why don't you take a swan dive off the roof and pray for a quirk in your next life?" As this This pushes Izuku off the edge as as soon as school ends, he goes up to the roof and he just stands there on the edge, looking at the ground, thinking about how his life has been so far, his parents not always being close with him, you know, trying to help him get through his day, but he understands that, they have to work, they have to do all the things that they do to support his life, to support themselves so that they can have a roof over their head. So he doesn't hold anything against them, but he just wished that they were just there for him a little more. He reminisces about, when him and Bakugo were friends before they had their quirk or before he got his quirk, and he starts breaking down for the first time ever, and he just balls out as he says like, why couldn't I just have a quirk? Why couldn't I just be normal? Like, why'd I have to be like this? As he walks over to the edge and he looks down and he says, maybe he is right. Maybe there is an afterlife. Maybe there's a next life. Maybe there's reincarnation. Maybe I can have a quirk if I'm lucky enough. As he takes a step forward, falling off, but then he soon comes to regret his decision. As within that vital moment of panic and fear for his life, his mutant ability activates and he shoots the lasers out of his eyes as it ricochets back and forth, so it fucks up his eyes, which in turn causes him not to be able to control it correctly. And he saves himself from dying, but now he has his eyes closed. As he tries to open them again, and he sees that the laser's still coming out, and so he closes it again and he wonders to himself, so now I get a quirk but I can't control it. As he starts wandering, walking to an unknown area, and he coincidentally walks into the alleyway or the underpass that he goes through in the anime, and he meets the sludge monster. And this one though, he kind of almost kills the man because he doesn't know how to control his mutant abilities. So he opens his eyes, and the sludge monster, before he opens his eyes, is like, this is a super suitable body. you know All Might won't notice me if I take this kid's body, and it looks like something's wrong with him, so he might help me and I might be able to get away. As Izuku just says, is anyone there? As the sludge monster says, you know what, kid, get ready because I'm about to take over your body. As Izuku says, I I wouldn't recommend that. Can can you help me? As the villain says, what? No, kid, I'm gonna take over your body. Did you not hear me? As he tries to, start the takeover process, but Izuku opens his eyes and he kind of just blasts the motherfucker away with a lot of energy, as he almost kills him. As the sludge monster is now badly, badly fucking wounded. As All Might comes to the rescue, as Izuku closes his eyes and he says, "Hello, hello." I don't know what happened. As All Might walks over to the sludge monster, as he sees he's almost dead, and he looks over to the boy and he says, "Kid, are you all right?" As he says, um, "I I can't control my quirk," because he doesn't know it's his mutant ability. As All Might says, "What do you mean?" As Izuku says, "Every time I open my eyes, it's just like this red laser beam that comes out of my eyes. I can't control it. It kind of hurts." As All Might says, "Ah, damn, I don't know how to help this kid." As he bottles up the sludge monster, as he asks Izuku to come with him. So in this scenario, in this what if, he doesn't accidentally drop the sludge monster, and so Bakugo doesn't get into the news because of the sludge incident. So nothing happens. As Izuku is going with All Might to UA because that's the best place, All Might thinks he should bring him to. As, he asks who he is as he says, I'm All Might. As Izuku says, oh, I'm sorry you had to deal with me. Uh, as Izuku's not much of a fanboy, this and this what if he's kind of mellowed out. He doesn't really have um a social anxiety issue, so he's fine. He knows how to control himself. As he says, I'm sorry you had to deal with me like this. Like I don't know how and why I can't control my quirk. As as he's walking with All Might, as All Might's guiding him to uh recovery girl's room, and he asks Nezu to come with him. As All Might starts asking questions as he's like, so kid, how can you not control your quirk? Haven't you been having it for years now? As Izuku says, well, it kind of just activated out of nowhere, and I don't know how to control it. As All Might's like, all right, I don't know how to help you. I'm gonna take you to Recovery Girl's office, see if she can run some tests on you. In the meantime, I'm gonna try and find a way to where you can open your eyes. As Izuku says thank you, and so they run tests. They figure out that he has to obviously get the ruby quartz in as a glasses form in glasses. As they do that after a couple of hours, and his parents aren't home, so they don't know what's going on. As Nezu asks him if he has any parents and if they can contact him. As Izuku says, I wouldn't want to bother them. I mean, nothing really bad happened. As Nezu says, okay then. As they put on the glasses. As he finally opens his eyes, as he says, oh wow, everything seems normal. As he starts walking around. As he says, I don't know how this happened. I don't know how I activated my quirk. It all happened in a moment of you know excitement. As Nezu kind of noticed the way he said it, so he pulls him into a private room out of anyone's ears or eyes, anything like that. As he asks him why he said it like that. As Izuku says, well, um I don't know how to say this. So throughout my life, I guess I'll just tell you my life story. I don't know. Throughout my life, I've been bullied for obviously not having a quirk until now, and there's certain people who would bully me, to the point of depression. My parents not being home most of the time, and me having to deal with these things and these feelings alone. It it kind of you know was filling up the pot, the cup, as you could say, with more and more emotion, as I would relate to have it being like liquid. And today it was the it was the tipping point. Um, some person told me to take a swan dive off the roof, pray for a quirk in my next life, and uh, that pushed me off the edge, and I went up onto the roof, and I tried to kill myself. As Nezu's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, kid. Um, I wish I could help you. I don't know if I can. As Izuku says, no, it's fine. I got a quirk now. As he starts crying a little. As he puts his hands on his face, as he says, after all these years, in a moment of desperation, it just appeared, and that's all I'm happy for. Now my parents don't have to worry about me. Now I can do what I want. I can become a hero. As Nezu smiles and he says, you can, kid. As Izuku says, well, I don't know how I'll be able to use my quirk without, you know, taking these glasses off, and if I lose them, well, that's kind of bad. As Nezu, tells him, you know what, I'll help you out there. Um, I'll ask Power Loader to build you something so that you can use your quirk more effectively. As Izuku says, thank you, thank you. As the days go forward, as he stays in contact with All Might because All Might takes him home. As he notices the charisma, the positivity that's surrounding Izuku now. As he asks Izuku how he feels about having a quirk now. As Izuku says, you know what, I feel great. I can finally accomplish my dreams now, and I don't have to worry about anyone just picking on me anymore. I don't have to worry about any of that. I can just be me finally. Like, for the first time in my life, I can actually be myself and not have to worry about being ridiculed, being laughed at, being any of that. As All Might notices, how he looks at life, and he sees that even though it looks like he's been through a lot, he battled through it and came out on top. He came out onto the other side, and he came to where the grass is greener. As he decides to keep in contact with Izuku. As after a couple more days of talking with him, he gets to know who he really is, who he truly is. As he sees it, that's it's someone who's you know very charismatic, very very deep into becoming a hero. He sees he is able to see the notebooks that Izuku shows him about the quirks, the heroes. He Izuku tells him how he idolizes him. Obviously, not as much in the anime, but he idolizes him. He idolizes a lot of other heroes. He wants to become someone who can become what All Might has become, a symbol of peace, a symbol of justice, a beacon of hope. As All Might takes this to heart, as he goes off, thinking about whether or not Izuku could be a successor. As we cut to the next day, as All Might has reached a decision, he will let Izuku become a successor. He will give one for all to the next generation. As he asks Izuku to come to Dagobah Beach, the place where he cleans up in the anime. As he has a discussion with him, as he tells Izuku to clean the beach. As they do that over the you know uh, period that they do it in regularly. As in the end, All Might tells him why he's been doing all of this. As he reveals the truth, as he tells him that he wants Izuku to be a successor. As Izuku asks, "What do you mean?" As All Might says, "Well, my quirk isn't necessarily mine. How do I explain this? It's a quirk that can be passed down generation to generation, and so on and so forth. And I'm the latest wielder of the quirk being called One for All." As Izuku is shocked, you know, and he says, "So, you're telling me that your quirk has been handed down from generation to generation?" As he asks All Might, "But why haven't we heard about this in the news, or why haven't we heard about these heroes?" And as All Might says, "Well, if this quirk got out to the public, then there would be people who would want it for themselves, either for good reasons, for bad reasons, any in between. They would kill for this. That's why we can't have it revealed." And the second reason is because the predecessors didn't really, show themselves, present themselves the way I do. They were more, you know, on the down low, or they met their tragic end too quick." As Izuku notices the emotion that All Might has, when speaking about meeting the end too quick, as he decides not to push forward. As he says, "So, why do you need a predecessor?" As All Might pulls up his shirt as he says, "This is why," as he transforms into Small Might, as he shows Izuku his wound, as Izuku looks at it and he becomes, saddened as he says, "Why? Why do you have this? Who gave this to you?" As All Might says, it was a fight from, whatever he tells in the anime, the certain fighter, or the certain fight date. As Izuku says, "I read up on that. The man you were fighting shouldn't have been able to touch you." As All Might says, "Oh, I'm surprised you know about that. But it wasn't him who I fought that day. He wouldn't be able to land a scratch on me ever. No, it was someone else." As Izuku asks who he was, and All Might this time decides to tell him. As he explains All for One, and he says it's a man who has lived since almost the dawn of quirks. He's a man who has the ability to take quirks, give quirks, and all of that. As Izuku is like, "What the hell? Someone like that exists?" As he says, "Yes, but he's moved into the shadows as of now because of the way we fought. I gravely injured him. I even tried to kill him." As Izuku isn't really shocked by that because he understands the type of devastation the man known as All for One could bring if he has the ability to give and take quirks. And so he tells All Might that he understands why he would want to do that, and why he needs a successor now. As All Might tells him, "So would you accept this power and use it for the good of everyone in Japan and in the world?" As Izuku says, "Yes, yes, I will." As then he tells Izuku to eat a piece of his hair. As Izuku's a little weirded out by that, but he's like, "Oh, all right then, if this is what it takes." As he does it. He, that's no. As he eats the piece of hair, and he says, "Oh, I don't really feel that different." As All Might says, "You don't feel it now. You'll feel it in a bit." As he digests it, and then he starts feeling different. As he kind of activates it pretty easily. His body's honed as fuck. It didn't even take him as much time to clean the beach as it did in the original because he's already built. So he only built on the foundation that he already has. So his body was quickly able to accept one for all easier than in the original, in the canon. As he's able to control it better too, because he's also been trying to control his quirk. So he has a feeling, and he's a little more intelligent with the way he uses it. Not only using it in one part of his body, because he sees how All Might, when he debuffs, he transforms his whole body. So he gets the idea to use all of his body at the same time continuously, slowly adding increments to the amount he's using. And so All Might's impressed. He's like, "Damn kid, you got it almost on the first try." As Izuku says, "Yeah, I'm surprised too. It doesn't seem that difficult, but after a while it does put strain on my body." As All Might says, "All right then, well that's your limit. Try not to go over that, because if you do, you'll probably severely injure your body, and we don't want that happening at all." As Izuku nods and he says, "Okay then, I understand." As we fast forward to when Izuku's home, and he randomly receives a letter, and it being a letter from UA. As he opens this up and he notices a disc, as he lays it onto his table, as it's All Might, and he says, "Oh damn, why is this?" As All Might explains that he's going to be a teacher at UA, and how he wants Izuku to go there. as Zuko's, happy, and he says, "Oh well, I was already gonna go there, but now that the number one hero wants me to go there, it's gonna be even better." As All Might tells Izuku that he can either take the entrance exams or go through recommendation. And Izuku says, "You know what? I'll take the entrance exams. I'm not trying to have you know any any easy pass, an easy road to get to where I want to go. I want to go the full hard route. I want to do what it actually takes to become a hero." So he decides to go through the entrance exams. As we fast forward to that date, Izuku gets to there. He's he's there pretty early, as he's already been to the school, so he already knows his way around a little. As he gets to a place where he has to go, not meeting anyone, not talking to anyone, because as I said, he does isolate himself, so he doesn't really like speaking to people. As we get to it, as we fast forward a little more to the beginning of the um, showing of what they're going to be doing and the robots and the points and the system. This time, Ida doesn't say anything, so he doesn't come out to everyone as a dickhead or a control freak, as you could say. As we go to the separations of the fields and shit to where they're gonna be holding their exams or their entrance exams. As Izuku just sits there by his lonesome with his visor on, as Power Loader was able to get or was able to finish the product before the entrance exams, so Izuku was happy about that. As it took Power Loader quite a bit of time to actually design a way, because he was testing it with Izuku, and he finally figured out a way for him to be using his abilities when he wants to, whenever he wants to. As he has buttons on his palms, buttons on his, on his visor, and he says that he might add more buttons in the future just in case he might not be able to use his hands or his touch his hands onto his visor. As Paoloder agrees, and that's where we are now. So the entrance exams finally begin. Izuku is able to use just about 15% of One for All, and now we pair that with his, you know, um, mutant abilities. My bad. He's dominating. He's probably the best in the entirety of the entrance exams. Only Bakugo being in second place, but he doesn't know that Deku's there because they're in separate fields. As Izuku's cleaning everything out left and right. He's using One for All. He's using his mutant abilities. As everyone's surprised, like they're like, this man has what it seems to them laser vision, and he has super strength because they see him tearing through the robots like it's a piece of cake. As everyone's like, what the hell? This man's overpowered as shit. As Nezu finally decides to let go of the zero pointer. As this time no one gets hurt. As Izuku's able to take that joint down one hit and one go. As everyone crowds around him after the exams are finished. As Izuku just says no. As he walks away, people being a little dazed by what he said. As they're a little sad, but they understand and they respect his boundaries. They kind of see that he doesn't want to talk to anyone. As he just walks home. Fast forward to when they get their results, as All Might gives Izuku his results, as he tells him that he received first place in the entrance exams. As Izuku's happy about that, he said, "Hell yeah, we did it." As All Might congratulates him on the hard work that he's put through, or put in, the things that he had to overcome to come to this point in his life, in his journey to becoming a hero. As Izuku gets a little teary eyed, but he doesn't let anything fall. As he says, "Thank you, All Might. I appreciate it a lot." And that is where we finna end off part one. I know it's a little short, but I needed something fast. I needed something quick. And yeah, this is where we're gonna end it off. So next part, I'm gonna try to get through both the first day, the heroes and villains, the USJ, and possibly the sports festival. Although that is gonna be a little difficult to fit in, but I will try to get that in within the next part. But other than that, hopefully y'all enjoyed the first part of What If Deku was Cyclops. And yeah, hopefully y'all give a like, comment down below what y'all liked about it, or do the opposite. But yeah, other than that, I'll catch y'all sexy yeah, motherfuckers. Later.